Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I am David Ito, Chief Instructor of the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. And with me, we have...
My name is Ken Watanabe from the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. I'm the Chief Instructor of the Aikido section.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, this is our 50th podcast.
Wow, 50 podcasts?
50 podcasts, 50 times of us, me, and other people blathering on about, martial arts, Aikido, and whatnot. So our question from the internet is Aikido lethal? Can it be lethal? Is it lethal?
I would say Aikido is lethal. It can be lethal.
I would say that Aikido, as it's practiced today, is not lethal, and it's not supposed to be, but it can be lethal.
I also agree. It's practiced in a safe manner, and maybe a lot of the martialness has been a little bit toned down a little bit from the martial art, but I would say Aikido as a martial art is lethal.
But then why do you think that people think that Aikido is not real, or it's not a real martial art, or that it's not lethal?
Even me, when I first saw Aikido, I was like, what is this? Like, someone is hitting, attacking, or grabbing in what I thought was a contrived manner. Like, no one hits like that. No one grabs like that.
But then if no one would grab like that, or no one would hit like that, isn't it not a martial art?
I would say it is a form of training to isolate a skill set, to make an efficient attack, to sort of organize training. So when you get attacked, you can only be attacked from the front, from the back, and maybe from the side. You can get hit in the face, you can get hit in the torso. So it seems like Aikido took all these different attacks and kind of organized them into maybe 3 archetypes. That's my guess.
But I mean, don't you think though that because Aikido's practiced in a specific manner today,
yes,
which is based upon the non-violence philosophy of Sensei, that it's losing its martial flavor?
I would say Aikido has softened up a lot. Like, everyone's talking about maybe I just want to flow, or I just want to blend. No one's thinking about how to protect themselves from an attack.
But I mean, when we were students, in the 90s, we practiced Aikido as a martial art.
Yes, we practiced it. We practiced Aikido as a martial art with a martial mindset in terms of protecting ourselves as we practice the technique. It wasn't practiced as a sport. There was no referee. There was no bell. Once you're on the mat, you were always on.
But I would imagine that other Aikido dojos may or may not practice in this manner. So then, if they're not practicing in that manner, it is not a martial art, and therefore it is not lethal.
I would say, depending on how, you can practice anything in a way that is either lethal or you're just having fun.
What do you mean by that?
Like maybe boxing. You could be just doing it for exercise, or you could be practicing it as a legitimate fighting technique. Like when you hit your opponent, you may not hit them in the prescribed targets. You may hit them in a very vulnerable target. You may just hit them in the groin, which is illegal in boxing. But in fighting, there are no safe spots on your body.
But I mean, is any martial art today practiced in a lethal way? I mean, they talk about this whole idea in karate of 1 punch, 1 kill.
Yes.
Right? In swordsmanship, 1 cut, 1 kill.
Yes.
But are people practicing this 1 punch, 1 kill, 1 cut, 1 kill? Or like in judo sense, like Kimura, he used to, regularly give out concussions in practice and in competition.
Yes.
To the point where they had to ask him in practice not to do osotogari because people were getting concussions.
Yeah, he was practicing probably as a martial art. I'm assuming.
But I mean, today, I don't know if people are practicing their arts with a lethal mindset. Not even, I don't even know if they should, but we're not talking about it from a philosophical or moral standpoint, but I don't know if people are practicing it like that.
I want to say maybe they might like to think they are, but honestly, they may not be.
Why do you think they are not?
I think it's more like people see stuff in the media and they have an idea of what a lethal martial art is like, and they see something like judo or karate or any of these other martial arts, and they see them more as sports with competitions. So there's like sports implies you have a safe zone.
Right.
Like if I was defeated, the person doesn't have to worry about me getting my family, going to their house and killing their family. Like I get the trophy. Okay, good job. That was a good fight. And then it's over. But in martial arts, you kill one person, then it escalates into snowballs into the situation where you're killing each other for as long as there's people alive.
But do you think that, how is it possible today in the modern era to practice Aikido as a martial art or practice Aikido in a lethal way?
What do you think? Do you think there's a way?
Well, I mean, modern Aikido is practiced in that way, right? Breakfall is the epitome of letting the person out of the technique, right? Because in the old days, you neutralize the attack, you locked the joint, you broke the joint, and then you unbalanced through them, and then you killed the person.
Yes.
And you killed them by either making them hit their head, or by once you got them on the ground, you beat them to death, or you pulled out your knife and stabbed them. But today, no one is practicing to break the joint.
No.
Today in modern Aikido, we lock the joint, we throw them, and then we apply the pin. And that's applying the pin, throwing the person and applying the pin is supposedly O-sensei's, based on O-sensei's philosophy of nonviolence, right? Because we lock the joint in a way in which they cannot get out of it unless they break their own wrist.
Yes.
And then you throw them down, and then you turn it into a pin. But by practicing it that way, you run the risk of it forgetting the lethalness of Aikido or forgetting how to do it. But do you need to?
I would say if you want to practice any martial art as a martial art, you have to remember these lethal techniques. Like I know there's a bunch of judo techniques that are not allowed in competition.
Yes.
There's probably a bunch of Aikido techniques that are probably not allowed in any competition.
Yeah, I mean, joint locks in most martial arts competition competitiveness, they don't allow.
They don't allow because in the competition, you can probably hit with protected hands as hard as you want to, and you won't create a trauma-inducing injury that will put the person to shock and they'll possibly die.
Right, because there's this unwritten rule in sports that you don't end someone else's career.
That's true. Yeah, there's a sportsman-like element to competition, whereas in martial arts, there's a sense of honor, but you enter knowing that you will die.
Right, and then the honor is the one cut, one kill. Like I think Furuya Sensei talked about this idea that you train to cut and kill with one cut to be merciful.
To be merciful, yes. And also, in the past, the samurai were trained to keep on fighting even though they were mortally wounded. So, for example, in Iaido, in Shohatto, they say one interpretation is cut across the eyes, but if you cut a samurai across the eyes, he'll still try to kill you.
Right.
So you have to cut across the chest to sever the deltoid muscle on the right hand. So there's no power on earth that will help them raise that hand to like use their weapon against you. That's the meaning behind. That's the other meaning behind one cut, one kill. You can't let the other person get angry and then turn on you, because sometimes they'll get mad if they get cut and then they get stronger.
If we're not practicing Aikido with lethalness in our mind, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's really hard to say, especially with the way society is right now. A lot of these things are frowned upon.
Violence, you mean?
Violence is frowned upon.
Outbursts.
Talking to someone strongly is frowned upon.
Yeah.
Like roughing someone up is frowned upon nowadays.
Right. So any form of what they call that power harassment.
Yes.
Power harassment, physical harassment, is frowned upon.
It's frowned upon. But I'm sure when you joined martial arts, what did you expect?
I didn't really even think about it. Because my first day when I went there, the dogs were barking and you're standing there out front of the dojo till someone came and got the dogs.
Yeah.
And then they said, "What do you want?" They didn't say, "Can I help you? Would you like to come in?"
Yeah.
The person just said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I'm here to learn Aikido." And then they go, "Come inside.
Yeah.
Sit here. Watch the class. Someone will answer your questions at the end." And then you wait, and then and then any question that you had, you run the risk of them being terse to you or making fun of you. So you're just like, "How much is it? What time's class start?"
Yeah.
So, I didn't think about I might get beat up here. I mean, maybe that's just not naiveness, but I never thought about I could get beat up here. Even though I got beat up on my second day, but
I never thought about getting beat up, but I knew that it would be a very, very strict environment. I may get yelled at because I was brought up in a semi-abusive environment, the old school way.
Right.
And
you did Boy Scouts at a Japanese temple.
Yes. And that was also, they were very strict and disciplined.
Yeah. So I don't have that. So I mean, now that I reflect back on it, I go, yeah, I probably should have thought about I might get beat up while I'm here, but maybe it never crossed my mind. Even today, I think about I never even thought about that until the second day when this person couldn't, handle the fact that I couldn't pick up the techniques or I couldn't roll.
Yeah.
And they just started smashing me on the ground, knocking all the wind out of me when they threw me down, and then get up. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's my second day.
Yeah. And can you imagine being thrown down like that on the concrete?
No,
I don't think you're going to get up after that.
No, it was physically painful, and then morally, morally degrading, and it broke your spirit. I remember going to my friend's house down the street from the dojo.
Yeah.
Going I don't think I can handle this.
Yeah.
And then them going, what do you mean? And I go, oh, I'm just gonna do it for 6 months, I think, and then quit.
I mean, when you talk about lethality, in the dojo, we have a nice soft mat, which has a lot of give.
2 inches of foam on top of a floating floor.
But if you think about taking Ukemi on concrete,
right?
If you fall a little bit wrong, or if you throw someone who's not trained, there's very strong chance that they will not get back up again, especially the way you throw them in Aikido.
Well, that's the thing is in the old days, they threw you with the mindset of making your head hit the ground.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, if we just go backwards, what century did they start treating head wounds? At what century was a broken right wrist a death sentence?
Yeah.
Right? You might be able to set it, it might grow, but then it doesn't work like it used to. And you're a samurai, you're supposed to be able to draw your sword, and you can't even grip the sword.
Yeah, you're essentially you're useless.
Yeah, you get fired and kicked. Your family gets kicked out of the clan, all because you were screwing around in the red light district and got your wrist broken.
Yeah.
But if you make someone hit their head, they didn't know anything about concussions, and then you just went to sleep and never woke up.
Yeah. You could easily die from getting your head injuries back then.
Was it Liam Neeson's wife, Natasha Richardson, hit her head skiing? Liam Neeson from the movie Taken.
I think I remember that.
His wife was skiing. She hit her head, got up, and said, "Oh no, I'm fine." They had a good time. She went to sleep and then never woke up. She died from her head injury.
Yeah. So you think skiing is lethal? Skiing is potentially extremely lethal.
And she might have even been wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of people wear helmets. I don't know if she was or not, but hitting your head, that was the main goal. If you think of all these throws, if you don't know how to take a over the head fall, you just face plant.
You just face plant, and that's
And then
that's it.
and then of course, if you hit your head and don't die, they're going to take out their knife, their wakizashi or their tanto, and stab you, or they're going to, smash your head in.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is because they can't have you coming after them later. They can't have you getting back up.
You have to came back up.
No, they have
drawing
to,
their own weapon.
Yeah, they have to end it right then and there. So that when you trace Aikido's origins back to, I don't know, the mid 800 AD, right? Like if you to what Shinra Saburo Yoshimitsu,
Yeah.
right? You go all the way back to those things. Like supposedly he studied bodies on the battlefield, and then looked at the way that they died. He looked at how the muscles attached, how the bones moved, and then that's how supposedly he came up with this idea of what became Daitoryu Aiki Jujitsu, right? And then the old days they broke your arm and then they tried to kill you.
Yeah.
But today we go, oh no, we just let them out of it.
Yeah, like a lot of the control pins are like training methods to how to use your center to affect your other opponent's center. But the part that they leave out is when you draw out your gun or you draw out your dagger and you stab them in a vulnerable place. They leave that part out.
Yeah, because they didn't have guns up to a certain point. They didn't have guns, so they all carried a small knife, right? Because it was you had to be a certain stature to carry a long sword.
Yes.
You had to be a certain stature to carry a certain size wakizashi.
Yeah.
So most people just carried a tanto.
Yeah.
Right. And then, always pulled from the right because your your kimono is tied a certain way. You pull that thing out and you stab that person. And so like you get someone in Nikkyo, Sankyo, you're not trying to put them down all nice or throw them. You pull out your knife and stab them in a vital spot.
Yeah, you're trying to get them down. Once they're down, you just stab him.
Yeah, so if you think about like Sankyo, to turn off Sankyo, you have to get above the joint. Mm-hmm. For Nikkyo, you have to get below the joint.
Yes.
And so if you go below the joint, they stab you in the face. If you go above the joint, they just stab you in your flank, right? So I mean, all these things are set up for other types of methods,
like attacks, right? Like all the lethal. I would say, would you say a lot of the lethal attacks in the technique, they're actually hidden in the movement?
They are, and like if you think about this idea of atemi, which has been evolved out of the lethality and atemi have been evolved out of the movements.
Yes.
But if you look, they're still in there, and you go, oh, that's why you hit them here. That's why you hit them there. Oh no, you cannot hit them. Like the place in which you're going to hit the person is supposed to stun them.
Yes.
Right, and then that stuns them. They let their arm loose for a second, and then you do a joint lock on the arm.
Yeah.
And then you lock it, then you break it, then you try to kill them. Mm-hmm. Right. So I mean, maybe perhaps this idea of Aikido is not lethal. The technique itself is not lethal, but its end is what you do after that moment is lethal.
Yes.
Like when they hit their head, that thing becomes lethal. When you throw them on the ground and then you pull out your knife, that is where it becomes lethal. But the technique itself, shihonage, koregaishi, aren't technically lethal.
Yeah, because you can still practice these techniques at a very high level, vigorously, and you can throw someone down safely as strongly as you want to, and they'll still get back up again.
And well, that's what Ukemi and breakfall are designed to do,
yes.
So that the nage can throw you as hard as they want, and you won't get injured.
And part of the uke's training is to be able to negotiate that attack and toughen their body up by being thrown, and they get back up.
But like that's the thing is that if you can throw someone as hard as you possibly can, and they can take a breakfall, and then you go out into the street and throw someone down, that's going to be, very lethal for them.
Yeah.
They can hit their head, they can hit their face, they can hit their shoulder, and then they're all messed up after that.
And then as the person throwing, nobody says that you can throw them nicely. You can twist your body, change the angle if you want to.
Yeah, you could jump in the air while they're going down and drive their head into the mat.
You can do all sorts of things. But the basic training is to develop your skill and strength and power in applying the technique in a safe manner to your partner without killing them or severely injuring them.
So you don't want to.
I would say you wouldn't want to because you would run out of training partners. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I mean a person on the street.
Oh, a person on the street? You mean person on the street like
You don't want to kill the person on the street.
you?
Because I mean, well, the point I'm getting to is that you choose not to because you have learned how to be. You learn restraint,
Yes.
and so you know, I could kill you, but I don't want to. I don't want to think about you ever again. So I'll just throw you down and then leave.
Yeah. Like I mean, would you say a very, very strong person can use a technique and not harm somebody, but someone who's like maybe not as skillful and not as strong, they're forced to go all out just to make it work?
I think so.
You know, like the higher the skill level, the more refined, the more variables you can. What am I trying to say here?
Well, I think because there you were telling the story once that the first time you did break fall, Furuya Sensei just threw you.
He just threw me. I remember almost crying at the end. I was like, why did he throw me so hard? Like, I didn't do nothing. But
Yeah.
he made me break fall out of like Tenchin Kokunage, one hand grab. He made me break fall from that. I had never broke fall before.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that you're able to issue the power in a way that makes them fall safely. Like that's what they say. Well, Sensei supposedly used to be able to do is to take you and throw you and make you your body roll a certain way so you don't get hurt.
Yeah, like you can take the Ukemi in spite of yourself.
Yeah, no matter your ability level.
No matter your ability level.
Because the person generates the power in a way that instead of killing you, it enables you to fall out of it.
Yeah, yet like they have total control of your movement.
Yeah, because I think like if you look at all those pictures of Furuya Sensei throwing me for that Black Belt magazine thing, at that time he was just throwing me up into the air, like grab me Kotegaeshi, get me moving, and then throw my body into the air, and then that's where I got that concussion. Yeah, but like that's because the reason why. The thing is that he threw me 47 times, and on the 48th one, I got a concussion.
Yikes.
But he threw me 47 times break fall. But the thing is, it wasn't really hard for me because he was doing it in a way in which my body just went boo and sailed through the sky, right? But that last one, I don't even know what happened because remember, he was throwing me, and then I hit my head. I walked off the mat, sat down, and then I came to, and you guys were all yelling at me, going, get back on the mat. And then I just ran over one more time. So I guess he threw me 46 times. And then just ran over through me one more time. And then when he threw me, I couldn't take a roll. I was just so disoriented. I just went blap.
Yeah.
And then they changed roles, and then he moved on. But that whole time, it's like everything is spinning, like in the cartoons, you see like the little bird and all this stuff. Like I didn't even know where I was at. I just sat down and I was like, huh? And then it's like came to, and I was like, oh, I'm at this photo shoot, and then I had to run up there and do one more thing. So I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Is like, but he threw me 40 something times break fall. But like you would think if someone threw you that many times, you would get tired.
Yeah.
And of course I was like 27 years old, in shape. But I mean, he threw me several, 40 something times break fall. If you look at these pictures, I mean, there's every single one of them. You're like, oh, because I'm sailing through the air.
Yeah.
But only on the last one did I hit my head. So, I mean, when we think about like this idea, moralistically, I guess you shouldn't try to make it lethal.
Well, you shouldn't
you shouldn't practice it, or you shouldn't even talk about it. Because, I mean, you run the risk of the person being irresponsible, and then this person on the news killing people.
I think it's up to the teacher to make the training in a certain way. And he or she, the sensei, has to make sure that the training is conducted in a proper way. Like there's a martialness to it, but it's also safe. It's energetic. Everybody's looking out for each other. Nobody's like bullying or anything, or practicing unsafely. No one's messing around.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you remember that time when Sensei, that one black belt told Sensei after the first class, "Oh, Aikido is not really a martial art," or something. He said something derogatory about it, being fake or something like that, and then he left. And then Sensei came downstairs and beat the crap out of every single one of us. He threw one guy out the door. He tore my rhomboid muscle when he was pinning me because I did the wrong attack. And then he just smashed me, turned me over, and then just cranked the pin, and then it tore a muscle. One of the students went into asthma shock. It had to go to the hospital, and like Sensei beat every one of the black belts up.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Like,
I must have compartmentalized that into like, oh, just regular practice.
Maybe he was there.
Sensei's mad again.
Yeah, that person, and Sensei didn't say this is because that guy said that. He just came down, no warm up, next, and then just started beating the crap out of us.
He like took it out on us. Do I remember that?
Do you remember like what he threw one student all the way across the mat, and the person rolled out the door, rolled out and then stepped up and then like fell out the door.
Do I remember that? I don't remember that. I don't have a strong, but there are so many. Honestly, there are so many incidents like that at the dojo where Sensei would get angry, and this is like actual combat. This is like I'm scared.
Yeah, because I mean, like and that when he was doing that one and he was pinning me. My arm was trapped under my body, and I was tapping, and then Sensei just kept applying the pin, and then Dr. Jeff Johnson's like, Sensei, he's tapping. And then Sensei just kept pushing it. I was like, but I mean, all those, Sensei like beat up, even though he's like, overweight and out of shape, he beat up every single one of us.
Yeah.
There had to have been like 10 people there. And maybe he didn't beat up every single one of us. I know he beat me up a couple times. I know. I can remember
Let's just say this: Aikido done by an angry person definitely can be lethal because you just don't care about the other person's well-being. You pin them or you do Nikkyo on them. You don't care if they tap out. You're gonna do Nikkyo until they're gonna be flat on the floor. You're gonna do Sankyo until their head hits the ceiling. Like you won't care. Like
have you seen that video of Chiba and Shibata? And Shibata Sensei's beating up everyone in the room.
Oh, people are trying to throw him, and then he throws them back. He counters their throw.
Both. He's throwing them, and then he's
taking their Ukemi, but he's throwing them.
Chiba Sensei throwing people very hard, and Shibata Sensei is just smashing people with Tenkan Koki-ho.
Yeah.
So in this video, but then someone told me that something about how the video came about is that the person teaching the class commented that Shibata Sensei students don't want to come to my class because they're afraid they're going to get beat up. So Shibata Sensei got upset and showed up to the seminar class and then just started reversing everyone and smashing them with Tenkan Koki-ho. So I mean, you look at the way Shibata Sensei's throwing them; they're all hitting their backs and hitting their heads.
Yes.
And that's what you want. You want them to flat back so they knocks all the air out of them, or hit their head, which disorients them or knocks them out.
Yeah, you want to cause maximum trauma.
Yeah. And so I mean, you think that Aikido is not lethal? You look at the way they're throwing, which is not the way people throw today.
No, most people do not throw that way today. Even we try not to throw that way today.
Well, but I mean,
we throw with effectiveness, but we're not going to try to knock someone's wind out, even though we can.
But you think that if we don't teach people the lethalness, the lethal end of the technique, are we doing them a disservice? Because if they ever have to go into a dark alley and somebody jumps out of the darkness, they may not be strong enough, or their technique may not be strong enough to throw them down lightly, and so then they end up getting beaten up.
Yeah, I believe so. Like they should, eventually you will want to make it so the technique is not lethal, but strong enough to be effective.
But I mean, that's the thing is like I have the Shihonage, right?
Uh-huh.
That I call my 20-year Shihonage. Uh-huh. Like you've heard me talk about it. And with that Shihonage, you could break their elbow, their shoulder, and make them hit their head and kill them. And I won't teach it to anyone until they've been with me for 20 years. And there are students who have begged me in 10 years, oh, please teach it to me. I swear I'll never use it. I swear I'll be with you forever. And then, of course, I didn't teach them, and then they left. But what if I would have taught them?
But see, like, this is the thing. Like, to me, it seems a little bit immature to want to learn a technique like that. Like, oh, yeah, I want to break someone's arm. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
but
gonna kill some fools.
that comes from the weakness of your character and, and your ego
exactly.
saying, "I'm afraid inside, so teach me something which is lethal."
Yes, I can protect myself because I don't believe in Aikido.
Yeah, for me to believe in Aikido, I have to know it works. So I'd have to know I could kill people.
And like to me, Aikido is an extremely mature martial art.
Oh, definitely.
It's a high-level martial art. It's beyond blocking, hitting, and kicking. Gouging people's eyes out or choking people out. It's way beyond that. It's on another level.
Do you remember, the 70s or maybe late 60s, 70s, when Jiu-Jitsu, not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Japanese Jujitsu was in TV shows all the time?
I actually don't remember that.
All they ever did was unbalance the person, throw them down.
Yeah.
They do a tomoe-nage or seoi-nage, or they would just do a stepping back throw. And then the person would fall down. And that was the pinnacle, right, of martial arts at that time. And you thought, that's what you got. That's what you got to be able to do to handle someone.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the lines, it became, you got to knock them out cold. And that's a real martial art. Or you got to get on the ground with them and choke them out, and that's a real martial art.
Yeah.
And that you're going to choke them out. You're going to break their arm. Is that what you're really going to do?
And then what's going to happen after that?
On top of that, you got his four friends just smash your head in with bricks or kick you in the face, and but you got that one person, right?
And even if you win, what's going to happen? You can spend the next 6-7 years dealing it in court.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, why did I punch that guy? Oh, why did I throw that guy down?
Why didn't I just walk away?
Why did I just walk away? Why didn't I just be like, whatever, he's having a bad day? You got lawyer fees, marriage problems.
Yeah. Yeah. You lost your job because you're in jail.
But your technique was lethal. And was it worth it?
Well, but that's the thing that to try to understand, you said Aikido is a mature martial art.
Yes.
It's mature because it understands the world.
Yes.
You understand that, this person's suffering. People suffer.
Yeah.
So because they're suffering, should I destroy them? Because when I suffer, should someone destroy me?
Yeah.
So, trying to understand this Sensei studied all these different martial arts.
Yes.
Jodo, swordsmanship, jujitsu, and all these things. And then he realized, is that even true? Did Sensei realize Aikido, a martial art, should be non-lethal? Or is that just the stuff that John Stevens is telling us and we all go, yeah, man, Aikido's for peace, love, and harmony?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because, I wasn't around when that happened.
No, and we didn't learn Aikido, peace, love, and harmony.
No, we learned it as a martial art.
No, Fu Sensei almost never spoke about ki.
No, he never spoke about ki. He never spoke about love.
We never practiced ki exercises.
No, we never talked about peace and harmony.
Yeah.
The only peace for Sensei was when everything was working in an orderly manner and nothing was chaotic. That was his peace.
But we never talked about the spiritual aspects.
No.
And he's a Zen Buddhist priest.
Yeah.
But we never talked about the spiritual. Really?
Why do you think that is? That he never talked about it? I have my own theories, but
he mentioned something once at a book signing.
Yeah.
About it, saying that when you start talking about these things, it becomes convoluted. And then people start becoming deluded.
Yes.
And then that's the thing that they hook onto. Peace or harmony or this thing without having the base skill to do that peace, love, and harmony.
Without even having the ability to do correct Aikido.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you say, you had a quote, you can't teach babies about, you can't teach kids about enlightenment?
Yeah. In the Shin Buddhism, they have this I don't know if it's a saying or this idea that you don't teach children about enlightenment.
Yeah.
You just try to teach them to be good people, and then that will bring them to enlightenment.
So would you say, thinking like that, you enter a martial art just knowing it's lethal, that there's a potential to use these techniques to do great harm, traumatic injury to a person, and you already have that in the back of your mind as you train?
I don't think so. I think it's a trick. I think
it's
Aikido is a 1%er's martial art.
Yes, it is.
That you go in thinking that you're going to smash stuff, beat people up, and then you realize it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
And the better the Ukemi, the more you cannot do that.
Yes.
right? And then but then also once people do it to you, you don't want to do it to others.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the person who just wants to beat other people up, dominate people, hurt others, they never last in Aikido.
No, they don't.
It's the person who with the good heart that lasts, the person who's hardworking, the person who shows up.
Yeah.
Those are the people who last. And so when people from the outside looking in, Aikido's fake, Aikido's not a real martial art, most of those people don't even do a martial art.
Yeah, and most people don't know what a martial art is. They just think martial arts is fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Right. Just like, or two guys with sticks beating up on each other.
Yeah, just wailing on each other,
Yeah.
doing the Benny the Jet method. Remember, Sensei said, Benny the Jet said, the secret to my success is that I can withstand more pain.
I can take more pain than the other person. But is that but even like in warfare, is that a sustainable way to like wage war?
No, because remember, back in the day, they didn't have a way to men broken bones, men really deep cuts. That was it. You were dead.
That was it. You if you survived the infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many
crippled.
So you think about this idea. Yeah, you can just grab someone and take them down, but then what are you going to do next? And then, so like this idea, the stratification of martial arts is based on the closeness to the emperor or king. You ever heard that?
I think so.
The emperor or king sits at the top.
Yes.
Of this pyramid. From the top of the pyramid to the bottom of the pyramid. So the bottom of the pyramid, that person can fight one person. Hold down one person.
Yes.
The person at the top of the pyramid is the closest to the emperor, and that person has to be able to defend the emperor from, loads of people, 10, 15. They have to be able to take on and kill 10, 20 people. They're not. It's not 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. So the sophistication of your martial arts starts at the bottom. So, people who can just grab someone and hold them down, that's like a foot soldier.
Yeah.
Because their only worth is one-on-one. As you go higher and higher and higher, you have striking arts. So the striking person can take on 2 or 3 people. The person with a different type of weapon can kill 3, 4, 5, 10 people. So the more sophisticated your martial art is, the closer you are to the emperor.
So would you say that person closer to the emperor is like the general who doesn't even have to lift a finger? He has a bunch of trained people who can do exactly what he wants to do.
Well, but I mean, that's the person at the top. But the person who he's having do those things that's the highest level.
Yeah.
So if you think, not that there's anything wrong with BJJ or some of these other martial arts or like wrestling or something like that, but you can only fight one person at a time.
Yes.
So you're only good as a one-on-one, right?
Yes.
Stalin said, artillery is king, range is king.
Range is king.
The reason why is because you drop a projectile on this group of people, you just killed 25 of them.
And you're safe.
Yeah. As opposed to the person who can only take out one person at a time. That's too slow. There's not enough. You need to create mass casualties, right? So the person at the top is a swordsman, is a rifleman, is an archer, because they can take out multiple people at once. So something like Aikido, you have to be able to take on multiple attackers.
Yes.
And then you have to debilitate them in one move. Right, so everything is about one move. So a karate person can drop this person. One move takes them, I don't know, let's say 10 seconds. Yeah. A jiu-jitsu person, is on top of that person. They're taking out that one person. It takes them 10 minutes.
Yeah, depending on how long the match is.
Yeah, and then it's just one person. You get up all sweaty. Okay, where's the next one? The battle's over. Right, the emperor is dead. The king is dead. Yeah. You have to be able to cut down several people at once, and that's your worth. That's the sophistication of your martial art. So, I mean, trying to understand this idea of is Aikido lethal? Well, Aikido is lethal, but do you want it to be lethal?
Are you practicing a martial art because it's lethal? Aikido is effective for sure, but do you really want to give someone a concussion?
Well, I think people are blurring the lines between effectiveness and lethality. Right, effectiveness. What does that mean? What is the most? Do you know what the most effective martial art technique is? Run away.
That's true.
Right, that's the most effective technique.
Not be there.
Yeah, not be there. But the people who want to fight it out, you're going to get cut, you're going to get nicked, you're going to hit shrapnel from someone else, right?
Yeah.
All these things could happen because you choose to stand there and fight.
I mean, what did they say? Like once the combat starts, there's no takebacks. That's the point of no return. Once you start fighting, that's the point of no return. Like this diplomacy is over.
Yeah.
Then now you have to deal with the fallout of, you get sued, you get a broken hand, you get a broken neck, you may be dead.
Yeah.
Kind of things.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. The thing that you're really worrying about, if you think about effectiveness, lethality, and all those things, what you're really worrying about is you're afraid.
Yeah, your own ego.
Am I going to get beat up today?
Yeah.
Is the the old 1950s advertisement, the bodybuilder kicking sand in the skinny guy's face? Is someone going to kick sand in your face? And then what are you killing this person over? A parking spot?
Yeah, exactly.
In the heat of the moment, your spouse. I mean, at what level do you have to take someone's life?
Yeah.
In order to be lethal, I'm a lethal weapon. Don't touch me. Don't even look at me. I'm a lethal weapon.
My hands are registered.
The old Happy Days things. These hands are registered with the police department.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but that's you. I remember they used to talk about that all the time. That once you became a black belt, you had to go down to the police department and register your hands.
Yeah, to me, like when you're looking, you're like, really? And now you're older, you're like, that's so stupid.
You go, what the? Why do you need to do that?
Yeah.
And then why do you need to tell anyone?
Yeah.
So why'd you say, hey, I'm black belt, you step back from me?
Yeah, like a lot of the best martial artists, they're very unassuming. Like people used to say, Sensei, what's this little guy gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Sensei's height, you go, wow, this guy's small.
Yeah, he's tiny.
Like 5'2" or something like that.
Something like that. And he's like throwing people like sumo wrestlers and things like that.
I know, like
immovable.
If you look at Masahiko Kimura, the famous judo player, they say the saying is before Kimura there was no Kimura, and after Kimura there's no Kimura because he's so prolific.
Yeah,
dude, they showed his stats. He's 5'5".
He's a tiny guy.
Dude, Shiota Sensei, 5 foot tall.
Yeah, Gozo Shiota.
Yeah, Gozo Shiota.
Yeah, those guys were like.
And then there's this article that someone translated on the internet where Masahiko Kimura said that Shiota was stronger than him. And
really?
He said, oh, he's much stronger than me. And dude, Masahiko Kimura is supposed to be the strongest, the best judoist that ever lived. He gives out concussions at regular practice. He would train for 8 hours a day in his retirement. And this guy said that, Shiota Sensei is stronger than me. Right? So if you think Aikido can be lethal.
Aikido can be lethal, yes.
But we choose not to practice it in that way.
Yeah. I mean, even like supposedly hard martial arts like karate, do they like practice to kill somebody?
They were in the old days. They did. That's why you have like Oyama Sensei, breaking the horns off bulls.
Yeah, like back in the days when, like the Satsuma went down and subjugated Okinawa. Yeah, like your hands when you hit the person, they're supposed to die. But nowadays, I don't think they practice karate with that spirit of one hit, one kill.
Well, on a certain level, they can't.
Yeah,
because when you make your hand or your shin or your leg so strong that it can, kill someone or break things, you're destroying your leg. There's all these like famous Thai boxers. You see them today. They can't walk well, or they're in wheelchairs.
Yeah, they're like kicking that banana tree with their shin.
Yeah,
I mean they're undefeatable, but guess what? Like they get like a little bit old. Hey, like gravity defeated you.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like that's the thing is when you deaden the nerves in your legs, nerves and blood vessels go together.
Yeah.
So you're damaging those blood vessels at the same time, and then that's how you end up. Now you can't even walk, right? Because a competitive martial artist career, a person who does prize fighting, peaks at what, 30?
Yeah, they retire early.
Yeah, and then you're all messed up.
So would you say, like, when in Aikido training, the movements are more balanced, smoother, you can still practice very strongly, but you don't have this what's the word, like violent movement in your body, so that kind of you can practice strongly until you're very, very old.
Yeah.
In Aikido.
But it's not that it's you don't have the violence in your mind.
Yeah.
To get good at Aikido, you can't be a violent person.
No, you can. I mean, if you want to kill someone, you don't need any technique to be lethal. You just need like a kitchen knife.
Yeah, a hammer.
Hammer.
A brick.
A brick. You know, a brick. This is my weapon.
Yeah.
I make brick kundo. You know.
But that's the thing, is that like to stay the course in Aikido and become good at it, you cannot be a violent person.
No, it's not satisfying.
The techniques somehow unroot that violence inside of you and move it out from you.
Yeah, like would you say, and I heard Sensei say this, Aikido, the philosophy of Aikido, like you can have it intellectually in your head, but without knowing how to do the technique, that philosophy will never enter your body. Because like you said, like the way, the movements, the way you negotiate and attack, they kind of form the way they sink into your body, and they become you almost. Like you become the philosophy of Aikido. Yeah,
because every day when you throw someone down, you're exercising restraint.
Yeah, that's true.
And then every time you throw someone down, you feel bad that you might have hurt them. So oh, sorry about that. You're exercising, gratitude, forgiveness, appreciation, and all these things. So you are metaphorically moving these higher intellectual concepts, compassion. You smash someone in Aikido, you go, oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Immediately. Oh, screw. And I don't remember the old days when we bumped into each other on the mat. You have to say sorry. Both people have to say sorry.
Yeah. We go, oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Even though you're in your regular day life and someone bumps you and you go, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't your fault. And you go, oh, shoot, I learned that. You learn that in Aikido. So you learn to yield.
Yeah. Like you diffuse the situation.
Yeah. You talk to someone and you go, hey, yeah. Did you hear the story about the other day when we were at across the street at the self-storage place?
No.
And we walked in, there was a guy that was no, we were inside, and the lady was going to help us. And then when she was walking out to show us the space, this guy was walking in, and she says, I'm not going to talk to you right now. And I was like, that's weird to say to a customer.
Yeah.
And then they start arguing, and then they go back inside. Uh-huh. So we go back inside and they're arguing, and then it's you think, oh, they must be in a relationship because they're really arguing and they're both very angry. Mm-hmm. And then another salesman goes, hey, I'll take you outside and show you that space. And I go, no, that's okay. I'll stay here. And the guy's getting really upset. Like, his body language is getting, very tense.
Yeah. He's
much bigger than her. He's a foot taller than me.
Yeah.
And he's got tattoos on his face.
Yeah.
He's, he looks like a gangbanger, right? And then Mike and Bill were just like, they don't even know what's going on. And then I just stepped in and I was like, hey man, how's it going? I kept my hands in my pocket, but of course, when I had my hands in the pocket, I rounded my hands so I could rip them out easily if I had to. And then I turned my head like this, and I was like, what's going on, man? And he was like trying to argue. I know. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
Are you okay? And he's like, I'm going to kill her and all this stuff. And I go, I know. Yeah, well, you come on. And I just kept talking to him. And then, his voice level is like a 10, and I go like 9, then 8, then lower. I know. I know, dude. Come on, man. And I kept my hands in the pocket.
Yeah.
I'm just talking to him and talking to him. And then his body language just starts going like lower and lower and lower. And then she's like, I'm calling the police. And he's like, go ahead, call the police. And I go, dude, you better leave. He's like, no, I don't care. I'll get killed today. And I go, dude, I don't really want you to die. And I just kept talking to him, and then just bring him down and down and down. And then Mike and Bill and the other salesmen stand right there. She leaves to go get the cops. And I go, I really think you should go. And then he's like, what do you care? I go, it's not that I do or don't care. I don't want to see you go to jail, and I don't want to see you die.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, arguing more and arguing. And I just kept going, I know, man. It's not worth it. She's not worth it. Yeah. It's not worth. And then finally to where his adrenaline dropped, and he was just like, okay. And then he just left. And then everyone was just standing there. But it took me, I don't know, 10 minutes to talk him
10
down.
minutes to talk him down?
Yeah. But I mean, but I was like, afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, that's Aikido.
Yeah, that is Aikido.
I mean, for one, I knew that we can't just walk away from this lady.
Oh, yeah.
We might come back, she could be dead.
Yeah.
2, you figure out there's a problem, so you don't leave. And then 3, you realize, like, or you figure out this is how I should engage this person.
Yeah.
And I didn't go like, what should I do? I just stuck my hands in my pockets, but I made it so I could pull them out quickly.
Yeah.
I came up to him. I stood in a certain way. I turned my head so that my posture wasn't
non-threatening.
Non-threatening,
Yeah.
and then I didn't scream at him. I just kept going, lower and lower,
Yeah.
trying to get him to match me. And then I knew at some point adrenaline's going to leave his body, and then when the adrenaline drops, fear comes in.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I'm leaving," and he left.
Yeah, like that sounds like a viable martial arts technique.
But I could have just beat him up.
Yeah, you could have, but then you
Yeah.
could have thrown him on his head. But what would that do?
And all the other things, right? He's got tattoos all over his body and face.
Yeah.
So then his blood gets all over me, and then we both have AIDS. You
Yeah.
know, there's all these things that happen. I got to see him in my sleep, his bloody face.
Yeah.
Every time I close my eyes, I don't want that.
Yeah, like his friends come after you?
Yeah. Or I start fighting with him and his girlfriend. You know, they always say that domestic violence, the spouse starts fighting you also.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting him, and she jumps in. It's like, all because I got to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
Right. And this is not something I thought about. It's just, I just stepped in and started doing it. And then Mike and Bill almost the whole time were like, "What's going on here?" They said, "I thought you knew him." And I said, "Why?" Well, because the way you were talking to him, it was just as if you knew him.
See, that you totally Aiki'd that guy because they thought you guys were together.
Yeah.
You know, when you say Aikido, they say, "Oh, this is like fake because he's going along with him." Like you totally Aiki'd that guy because they thought you were his buddy. They thought you guys were together.
But but that's the thing, is that we could take it. Aikido is a martial art. Is a martial art which can be lethal if you want it to be.
If you want it to be.
If you choose to make it that way.
Yeah.
But you, as a high developed, sophisticated human being, knows that lethalness is not free.
Yeah, lethalness is not free. There's a heavy price to severely injuring somebody. I mean, wouldn't you say if I hurt somebody, I would feel worse than if they hurt me?
Yeah, dude. Have you ever seen these videos they have on the internet of interviewing people that killed someone?
Yeah.
Every single one of us, like, I wish it never happened. I wish if I could take it back, I would. If I could switch places, I would.
Yeah. Nobody wants to kill anybody.
No. And then I think weren't you talking the other day about, like, Vietnam? They figured out that people were intentionally missing when they
were intentionally. Actually, in Vietnam, they say they got the percentage down to a lower percentage where the riflemen were not intentionally shooting above the heads. They say in, like, the past wars, riflemen would shoot intentionally above the heads. But somehow in the Vietnam War, they got it down to, I forgot what percentage it was. It was very interesting.
But that's the thing. In that moment, you have a license to kill, you're trained to kill, but you still don't want to kill.
Yeah, it's your job to kill the enemy, but you still don't want to.
But, I mean, are the Aikido techniques themselves lethal?
I mean, there's all sorts of things in the Aikido technique which potentially open up your body to injury. Like, for example, like, have you ever gone off balance and then you're like, all your ki or all your attention comes up to your shoulders?
Yeah, like if you trip or you like when you're walking down the stairs and your mind misses the step and then your whole body like freezes.
Yeah, it like tenses up in a weird way, and like, or maybe like your timing is broken. A lot of times in Aikido they try to unbalance you or break your timing. So when you get that tense feeling where, like, your shoulders come up, in a lot of martial arts, that's the point where they try to attack you to cause maximum damage to you.
Oh yeah, because that would be the moment when you were
yeah. So imagine being like, and then you get thrown down.
Yeah, because you say that you're supposed to hit someone when they're breathing in.
You're supposed to breathe. Yeah. So in Aikido, the timing is such that when they grab you, the moment they make contact, they're already thrown. That's the Aikido timing. There's no grabbing, then I turn, then I get ready, raise my hand up, and then throw. The moment they grab you, you're already thrown. So that means the moment that you're unbalanced and you go up like that, you're hitting the floor already. And then that is enough to probably shock the person.
Well, and that's this idea that you shock them. So, they take that breath and it shocks them that their heart stops. And that's the old school black magic Aikido stuff where it shocks the person. And then that makes them fall down. That makes them have a heart attack. That makes them, that is the death touch, so to speak.
Yeah. Like it creates an internal opening where your organs become vulnerable. Like you're not braced for okay, hit me now.
Yeah. That's why those karate people are always going like,
yeah,
like really bracing their torso for.
So, like you hit someone like that, you're like, oh, that didn't hurt at all,
Well, isn't that how Houdini died? He had that whole thing about anyone could punch. He could take any stomach punch.
Yeah.
And then someone came up and just punched him when he wasn't ready for it.
And that was enough.
And then he went in the tank and did the thing and then drowned and died or something like that.
Yeah. So, like that's lethality right there, the potential to cause death.
Oh, I guess if we define lethality as the potential to cause death, then Aikido is lethal.
And a bunch of stuff is lethal. Driving is lethal.
Yeah. Remember, I don't know if in Driver's Ed, they said even a tissue box can kill you if you get into an accident. Do you remember they talked about that? Like
I didn't remember.
They're like, the cop that was teaching the Driver's Ed said a tissue box when the car got in an accident it was in the air and hit the lady in the head and killed her. So a tissue box made out of cardboard could kill you.
So there was enough kinetic energy in that tissue box moving to transfer its energy into that lady's head and
kill that person.
Kill them.
Right. So I mean, anything, right? A fall can kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a documentary about backyard fight clubs. This is like years ago, and I saw someone just fall backwards, but they fell backwards in a way that was almost like us throwing a beginner the softest way possible. That was the speed. He hit his head and he got a concussion. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that you could fall that slowly and get messed up.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how your body's set up, the structure.
And then in our dojo, when Sumiotoshi, the technique that we thought, well, how are you doing this technique? It's just,
Yeah.
And we're throwing people 6 feet out. It's like, oh, I guess Aikido does work. This is back when you have questions about Aikido's effectiveness. Because, we would get beat up. We would get thrown down hard all the time. And we were like, what's it going to do to somebody? But they're not trained like we were.
Yeah, they don't know how to tuck their chin.
They don't know how to tuck their chin. They hit their head you hit your head a little bit on the concrete, you're not going to stand up again.
No, there was this karate brown belt. I think it was a karate or judo brown belt that was coming to, it had to have been a karate. This karate judo brown belt was coming to bring some Aikido into his karate.
Yeah.
And he was just coming to fundamentals class, so no forward rolling.
Yeah.
And after a few months, he messaged me and said, I have to quit because, I hit my head and now I have migraines and I can't sleep at night. It's from falling down in Aikido.
Wait, he hit his head on the mat?
I guess. But I was like, dude, you're like a brown belt in karate. People are punching you in the face.
Isn't he a judo person?
I don't think it was judo because he didn't know how to backward roll.
Okay.
But so I'm pretty sure it was karate. But he said, I hit my head and then I keep hitting my head and now I'm having nightmares and I can't sleep and I have headaches. So I'm going to quit Aikido.
Really?
Yeah. And just do karate.
And this is just because karate is safer and easier.
Well, he doesn't have the same problem with karate. But I was like, wait, you're a brown belt in karate, dude. Yeah. And then he quit.
Now, back in the old days, whatever martial art you did, you knew how to take a fall.
Yeah.
You knew how to do almost everything. You were prepared for anything because you were like we were talking about, you're prepared for lethality.
Yes, you have to be. You must be prepared to receive lethality
and negotiate it and hopefully minimize the damage to yourself.
Yeah,
which is, I guess, what Aikido's. It's what Aikido's Ukemi is. move in a way to minimize lethality to yourself.
Yeah. So as we've kind of come to an end
Yeah.
here, like, Aikido, for me, Aikido can be lethal,
Yes.
but Aikido is more sophisticated, more highbrow.
Yes.
It takes the higher road, so it doesn't need to be lethal.
It doesn't need to be lethal. It's not like a club,
Yeah.
with spikes. It's not like Negan's baseball bat with the
Barbed wire.
barbed wire all over it. Like, yeah, that's definitely lethal, but it's either kills you or it doesn't kill you. There's no in between.
Yeah. And Aikido has it has a philosophy. It has a mindset you're supposed to have. And so it chooses not to be lethal.
Yeah, it's like, for the longest time, I was like, what does Osensei mean by a martial art for a modern world? Like, what's a modern world? And like, talking like this, I'm like, yeah, it is for a modern world, like a more civilized world where you don't have to worry about getting shanked everywhere you walk.
Yeah.
And
And that you also don't have to, you have to moderate yourself so you don't just fly off the handle and start beating up every person you see.
yeah, it's like it's almost like Osensei foresaw like all these people who were like complaining about everything. He
Yeah.
foresaw all the Karens.
And he's like, they're going to have video cameras, so when you throw them down, you better throw them down in a way that it's not going to be lethal
Yeah.
because you are the court of public opinion will vilify you.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, now that I think about it, it's quite amazing.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.